Speaking of Russia, everyone, did you know that everything and everyone is a Russian asset? That's right. Russia's behind every single problem. Russia stole your car keys. Russia burnt your house down. Russia stole your ex-girlfriend. Russia took your job. Russia did this and Russia did that. So we got a great article from the Rolling Stone written by Matt Taibbi called basically Everyone and Everything is a Russian Asset. Check it out in our show notes article. In our show notes, it's down in the description box below. But I'm just going to basically read off the quote from former Secretary Hillary Clinton. I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who is currently in a Democratic primary. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. Daniel, we need a graphic. I think it's the Tulsi time. I got to introduce it. Yeah.
Tulsi graphic.
It's a Tulsi graphic.
We've got them. They're here.
They're here. We got them. I think so. I almost forgot.
On the right.
Tulsi.
On the right.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Magic Carp, so amazed at the surfing.
There we go. It's Tulsi Gabbard.
I got to find another good video clip of Tulsi surfing because that
Yes.
one from the board is a little disorienting.
Yes, it is, but nonetheless. So getting back on point. So here's a quote from Hillary Clinton that she made during that infamous interview. I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who is currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's a favorite of the Russians. And so then she also mentions that she wasn't getting done. She was mentioning like about Jill Stein also being a Russian asset. Yeah, she's a Russian asset. I mean, totally. They know they can't win without a third-party candidate. I don't know what Putin has on him, whether it's both or personal and financial. I assume it is. And so Matt Taibbi basically says this. Hillary Clinton is nuts. She's also not far from the Democratic Party mainstream, which has been pushing the same line for years. Less than a week before Clinton's outburst, the New York Times, once a symbol of stodgy, hyper-cautious reporting, ran a feature called, "What Exactly is Tulsi Gabbard Up To?" The piece speculated about the suspicious activity surrounding Tulsi Gabbard's campaign, using quotes from the neoconservative think tank, the Alliance for Securing Democracy, to speculate about Tulsi Gabbard's Russian support. This was the second such article the Times had written. An August piece, Tulsi Gabbard thinks we're doomed, hit nearly all the same talking points, quoting Clint Wallace, an ex-spoot, from the same think tank, calling Gabbard the Kremlin's preferred Democrat and using agent influence. The Times article also echoed earlier pieces by the Daily Beast and NBC.com that said many of the same things. After Clinton gave the Russian asset interview, it seemed for a moment like America's hope, commentary might tiptoe away from the topic. Hillary Clinton has been through a lot over the course of a career, and even detractors would say she's earned latitude to go loony biscuits every now and then. A few of the Democratic presidential candidates like Beto O'Rourke, Andrew Yang, and I even got to mention him, Pete Buttigieg. Mind you, I'm surprised that Beto and Pete actually defended Tulsi Gabbard. So strange times.
That was a surprise.
Strange times we're living in. Gently chide Clinton for her remarks, but when Gabbard, who similarly been through a brutal media ordeal, snapped back and called Hillary the queen of warmongers, and Donald Trump, followed by calling Clinton crazy, most pundits doubled down on the asset idea. Neoconservative termed resistance hero David Frum blasted Trump for defending Stein and Gabbard, noting sarcastically, he was supposed to pretend that they were not all on the same team, and Anna Narva on CNN, when both the Russians and Trump support someone, be wary. And I just want to read Trump's quote just so we have an idea what he really said. So here's a quote from the president about Clinton's comments. And it's fun. It's really funny when you really look at it. So now crooked Hillary is at it again. She's calling Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard a Russian asset and Jill Stein a Russian asset. As you may have heard, I was called a big Russia lover also. Actually, I do like the Russian people. I like all people. Hillary's gone crazy. So let's just take a step back and look at the big picture. This is the consequence of Russiagate. This is the consequence of when corporate media defends a neoliberal candidate that loses to a buffoon. This is what happens when we have a rigged, corrupt neoliberal system. And when Hillary Clinton lost, everyone needed something to blame. Of course, they were going to blame Trump. They were going to blame Bernie Sanders supporters, but they needed a real boogeyman to keep everyone afraid, and that is Russia. Blame Russia on everything, because somehow Russia, whose GDP is smaller than South Korea, influenced the entire country of the United States and its election in 2016. That's a far insane idea. And then I'm supposed to also believe that somehow Russia's still continuing to be involved in our election cycle. How? Where's the proof? Russiagate. I mean, yeah, it's out there. The evidence is out there, but did it impeach Trump? Was it, that's it, it's all over, Trump's gone? No. He's still in office, and Russiagate was just that, propaganda. Rachel Maddow kind of lost her bread and butter, but don't worry, they'll find something new. Also, another thing, Dr. Jill Stein is not running in this 2020 election cycle. She's not even a Green Party candidate. She's not involved at all. The Green Party already has two other candidates that are running for the nomination. And Tulsi Gabbard, mind you, because there was a lot of pundits on Sunday talking about how Tulsi Gabbard hasn't denied being a Russia asset. Well, here's the thing. When Hard Lens Media was starting off here on YouTube, one of our first articles that when we were addressing the smear pieces on Tulsi Gabbard was calling her a Russian spy and asset, and Tulsi Gabbard was quick to deny it. Even at a roundtable on MSNBC, they were saying that she was an Assad apologist and a Russian supporter. She denied both those statements. She's not a Russian asset, and she is not an Assad apologist. What this is the DNC and corporate media attacking somebody who had the courage to step away from the corrupt Democratic Party during the 2016 election cycle. And so this is a new age of McCarthyism that we're living in, because it's easy to blame something or someone because something's not going your way. The DNC is incapable of really having an active outreach towards voters. Majority of Americans are now starting to become independents. Not a lot of people like this two-party system that we have, because at the end of the day, the RNC and DNC both get financial support from Wall Street, big banks, and major corporations. They're owned by the top 1%. So when Tulsi Gabbard challenges the military-industrial complex that has a lot of ties to Wall Street, big banks, and major corporations, there's going to be pushback. But Paul, I kind of want to get your commentary on this too.
Yeah, I think so we've been talking about this for a few days now. I guess the whole internet has kind of gone insane with the Hillary Clinton tweets and Tulsi and Jill Stein trying to defend themselves. I want to kind of separate it into a couple of different areas. There's what is the political motivation for Hillary to do something like this? How effective could it be? What is the end goal? What is she trying to accomplish with a tweet like this? But before I even get there, I want to just go with the substance of the tweet, because it's substanceless. And I think politics needs to move beyond this stage of like, oh, well, Hillary Clinton said it was true, or the CIA said it was true, or so-and-so on CNN or MSNBC said it, so I guess blah, blah, blah. Claims have to be backed up by evidence. And there's no evidence here. And this is the thing we were talking about before the show. The reason this is the kind of thing that has the ability to land with some people is a common cognitive shortcoming that humans have. It's something that those of us who like the idea of rationalism, identify as what's called confirmation bias. So I'll just give an example of what confirmation bias is before we go into how this is that. So if I was to say, this is the classic confirmation bias test, if I'm to say, I'm thinking of a rule that governs number sequences, and I'll give you an example of a number sequence that conforms to this rule. That number sequence is 2, 4, 6. Someone might say, oh, well, I wonder if the rule is they're always even numbers. So they test, 4, 6, 8. And I go, that conforms to the rule. And they go, got it, it's even numbers. And I go, no, that's not the rule. I go, oh, maybe they increase by 2. Maybe it's 1, 3, 5. And I go, that does conform to the rule. And they go, always increases by 2. That's not the rule. The rule was just that the numbers were in ascending order, right? Confirmation bias made the questioner say, I've guessed at what the rule is, and it conforms, that rule works, and therefore the thing I thought was right, even though they haven't negated the term. So in this case, Tulsi Gabbard spoke with Assad, and Russia is aligned with Assad, and therefore Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset. No, you didn't bring any evidence that she's an asset. You just gave evidence that two people have a similar opinion on the same extra, idea. Right? The same other thing. Syria and Assad are not Russia. Tulsi and America is also not Russia. Assad and Tulsi have an opinion. Oh, they both must be Russian. That's confirmation bias.
Right.
So there's that part. There's nothing to substantiate this. Oh, RT said nice things about her, therefore she's a Russian asset. That's confirmation bias.
Right.
You haven't brought any evidence for this claim to the table at all, period. So why make the claim? And so there's been a lot of speculation. I think it was DCK Punk I was talking to where we were saying there's some possibility that Hillary Clinton is sort of testing the waters with a claim like this to say, if I can throw this out and people kind of go apeshit over it, and particularly if I can get Bernie Sanders to come to the defense of Tulsi and it gets enough traction, now I can say, aha, because Tulsi said a thing that Russians liked and therefore she's a Russian asset and got the defense from Sanders, then therefore Sanders is a Russian asset. Got him.
Yep.
And it's just like, let's extrapolate that confirmation bias even further.
Right. And also, DCK Punk, Tulsi has one of the highest clearances in government, and that's absolutely correct too. But mind you, if any of these claims are true, like, okay, because they're not, it's ridiculous. Are you telling me the entire United States government and United States military are so inept, so stupid, that they can't tell that there's a quote-unquote Russian asset in Congress? I mean, come on. You're basically smearing somebody and their whole political and military career. There's no proof or evidence. If you don't have anything, then you're lying, and when asked to bring up evidence, you're going to stutter and walk away. So in other words, you're bullshitting us from the very beginning. Paul, take it away.
Notwithstanding the fact that if this was actually true, if these people actually literally believe that this is a true thing, they are literally accusing Tulsi Gabbard of treason. They're literally accusing Tulsi Gabbard of something that carries the death penalty. How come you're not making any legal actions on this very, very highly treason? You're accusing her of treason, but the only place that you want that to play out is in primaries? That's a legal thing.
It's almost...
You're not even consistent with your own claim here.
It's almost as if Hillary Clinton's talking out of her ass. It's almost as if the corporate media doesn't really know how to do damage control because they just don't know how to defend such a ridiculous statement. It's nuts. And there's a problem. There's a bigger problem with this whole Russiagate conspiracy and calling everyone a Russian asset. If you make a list basically saying, well, this person's a Russian asset and this person's a Russian asset, we're all on that list. And Representative Tulsi Gabbard actually did a video online on her Twitter and YouTube account basically saying how people in the DNC establishment warned her of severe consequences if she went out of line. Well, here's the thing. If we don't stop this now, we're all going to be on the list. And at least Tulsi Gabbard had the courage to do something that no representative in the Democratic Party or Republican Party could ever do. And I don't care what your points of view are, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Green, Socialist, whatever. Take a good long look at your congressman and congresswoman, your Senate representative as well, and ask, could they ever do what Tulsi Gabbard did? Could they ever step down and walk away from the corruption? Because this is a rarity in American politics, something which none of us have seen in our lifetime, and actually have the courage to call Hillary Clinton a warmonger. That's what we've been asking for: leadership, accountability. But by calling her a Russian asset, we're all on that same list too. It's only a matter of time until you make someone angry enough to say, well, that person's a Russian asset, so we should go after them.
So there's a really cool video clip that's been making the rounds on Twitter. I think Airwaves sent it to me yesterday. And it's Tulsi Gabbard testifying in front of, I think it's Congress or Foreign Committee or something, about the number of times the United States has interfered in foreign elections. It's though we treat, the 2016 election and the claim that Russia has infiltrated our election in one way, again, with basically no evidence above Facebook ads and things like that we can't really trace all the way back to the Kremlin. We can at most trace them to a company in Moscow, and they weren't even that effective at anything in particular other than sowing discord or fomenting discontent, which anyway. She points out the demonstrable over 40 countries and over 80 times the United States has manipulated successfully or unsuccessfully foreign elections. And that does not include military or covert coups that we have instituted over the last several years. And that number, the 80 times, over 80 times in over 46 countries, is since 1946.
Right.
So it's the last 60-ish years
Right.
You know, this is not a new thing. A lot of people in the news today will go around pretending like, oh my God, another country interfering with the democracy of another country is unheard of, never happened, totally precedent breaking. And it's like, guys, we've been doing this for decades.
We're professionals at it, people. And unfortunately, guess who's paying for it? You, the American taxpayer. That's right, Republicans and Democrats. We got something in common. A rarity in American politics. You're paying for these wars and these interventions and these coups. We're causing more bloodshed, and the American taxpayer is paying for it. All thanks to the incompetent leadership of the RNC and DNC. And when Tulsi Gabbard had the courage to step up, she was basically blacklisted. And so I'm very glad that she's still in this race. And as a final note, I am very hopeful that she'll make it to the 5th Democratic primary debate. I know Andrew Yang has already secured his spot. Tulsi Gabbard, I think she's going to be gaining some momentum.
I know she's qualified in one poll, for sure.
Yeah, right now as it stands, she's qualified in one poll, but there's a few more qualifications you'll have to do. Don't be surprised if the DNC pulls the same kind of shenanigans. But I think a lot of people, those who are impressed with Tulsi Gabbard's message of, getting out of foreign wars and addressing climate change, as well as a few other issues that she's fighting for, definitely want to see her on the debate stage. And I think now more than ever, her voice is needed, and I'm very curious to see how this will play out. I personally will be disappointed if she doesn't make it to the 5th Democratic debate stage. But just as a final note, look, we just can't, just because someone disagrees with you politically, it gives you no right to make false claims about them and say that, oh, well, this person's an asset or this person's a traitor. It opens a door to something else, and then we're all on that list. And we have to now, more than ever, get involved in this 2020 election cycle, get money out of politics, and reform this system before it's too late. And Tulsi Gabbard seems to be leading the way, and I do hope that she continues on fighting because we need voices like her out there.